Fallout 4 has a number of hidden and secret quests, and in this guide I am going to go through 4 of them. Well, sort of anyway, as the last one isn't really a quest, but still a very interesting encounter. Hi, I'm Mo, and I'm trapped in Fallout. For our first hidden quest, we will need to make our way to Diamond City. Once you make it to Diamond City, you will need to go up sort of this area over here, and you want to enter this location here called the Colonial Tap House. Once inside, you will witness a rather unfortunate encounter between Paul Pembroke and Henry Cook. And once you've sort of seen this encounter, you will see them both sort of getting out into a fight because of some drama that's happening between the two. What you want to do is let this drama unfold and then let Paul leave the tap house. After Paul has left the tap house, go back to the market and you will eventually bump into him. When you bump into him, select the option I'm listening and then select you got in a fight. And over here, you will basically find out what the drama is all about. It appears there's a little bit of friction between Henry and Paul's wife. At this point, you want to select the tough situation and then select the I'll help option and then select let's go. So right now what you've basically done is agreed to accompany Paul back to the tap house and confront Henry about this whole situation. So we're going to go back to the tap house now. Once you make it back into the tap house, you will find Paul basically confronting Henry about this whole situation. And this is sort of the key moment in this hidden quest. You want to select the I'm not with Paul option. And the moment you do that, they will both go into a fight, and if it all goes this way, what should happen is Henry should take up Paul. So we will select the I'm not with Paul option. Now usually people tend to pack up Paul in this instance. They want to sort of keep Paul alive for this whole encounter. But in this situation, what we actually want is to sadly result in Paul's death. And this eventually will trigger a secret hidden quest within this main quest line. So let's let this play out. So once this plays out, you will now need to go and speak to Henry about it and select the option I'm interested and then select I understand and select let's do this. Once you speak to Henry and sort of agree to go with his plans, eventually he will lead you out of Diamond City into this alleyway over here. If you're not sure where this area is, again, it's not a big issue, just follow him. Once you do that, eventually you'll get to this hideout here, or rather this location where you will need to go and confront these rather unfortunate NPCs over there, and we will need to take them out. So when Henry speaks to you, select the sounds good option, and from here you can be a bit covert about it and you can go around here and take them out with perhaps some sneak attacks, or you can be a little bit more upfront about it and simply approach them and just take them out. Either way, you will achieve your purpose. You need to sort of just take them out. Once you've done that, speak to Trish over here, and at this point you can pursue some charisma based options to find out a little bit more about it, but what you really want to do is basically take her out. So select the can't leave witness option and then select the attack her option. And with that, Henry should basically just take her out. From here, you can take Trish's note and you can take all of these camps, but not until you've spoken to Henry about it. So speak to Henry first and then select the good luck option. And from here, Henry should walk away, and at this point you can basically raid this whole chems crate. Now once you've done that, you will need to make it back to the Colonial Tap House again. But this time, don't go inside. Instead, look opposite and you should find an NPC over here. Now, the NPC you want to speak to is Malcolm Latimer. Now, when you approach him, he will basically ask you about something. So select the I'm listening option and he will basically ask you about his son. This is one of the NPCs we just took out. What you want to do in this instance is select the I didn't kill Nelson option. And then make sure you select the no idea option. And then you simply walk away. Now, if you don't get the option to speak to Malcolm, i.e. let's just say you're trying to speak to him and he's basically ignoring you, you may need to go away for a couple of in-game days and wait somewhere, sleep somewhere, and then come back to Diamond City and try. But he should eventually speak to you about it. Now that we've done that, what you need to do is go back into the Diamond City market and you should see Darcy sort of walking around somewhere. So we'll see if we can bump into her. Again, this also might not happen. You might need to wait a couple of days for this to happen. So, oh, there she is right over there. Let's go and speak to Darcy about it. And at this option, select the sure option and then select the Paul's dead option. And now this is important. Make sure you select the no option. So typically you don't really get these options, not unless Paul dies in that encounter or anywhere in between speaking to Darcy right now and when you first encounter Paul in this city market. If Paul doesn't die, you will not get these dialogue options with Darcy. So now that we've done this, you will actually need to go away for a rather few in-game days. I've actually tried to wait all the way up to about 2 weeks in-game, and I managed to get a further set of dialogues with Darcy after that. So we'll basically wait for about 2 weeks in-game and speak to Darcy. So I'll do that off screen, and once I've done that, I'll locate Darcy and we'll speak to her again. So I've waited around 2 weeks and I'm going to speak to Darcy now, and this time you will get another set of dialogues. Again, typically you do not get these options if Paul survived the whole encounter, but given that he didn't, you now get these options. So select the glad to help option with Darcy and she will give you this photograph. Now this is a little bit of a history. Effectively what's happening is this photograph is actually showing 3 key characters. It's showing Malcolm on the left, it's showing Paul in the middle, and it's showing Henry on the far right. And this is basically evidence of something they did way in the past, like 20 years ago in game, where they basically took over one of Morawski's warehouses and they basically stole a lot of money from him as a result. This is effectively a secret in the game that you don't really get unless Paul is taken out. So accept the picture, and now you will basically cook up a plan with Darcy to basically make a little bit of money out of it. So what we can do is select the who are they option, and then select the tell me more option, and then select the why show this to me option. So at this point you basically have 2 options. You can go back to Malcolm and you can bribe him for the picture itself, or you can go to Morawski and give him the picture instead, and then he will actually give you an additional instruction to go and take out Malcolm. So let's follow that course of action. So right now I am basically visiting Morawski in Good Neighbor, and let's just speak to him really quickly about it, and then just straight up select option A, or rather the option to show him the heist photo, and then again just select the show photo option, and then select the payback option, and then select the yes option. So right now you've basically been asked to go and take out Malcolm. So I won't go and take out Malcolm, but this idea of getting access to this photograph is a very well hidden part of this quest line, and the only way to access it is really to have Paul taken out in the course of this quest. For our next set of hidden quests, we are going to go to Vault 81, which is directly west of Diamond City. Now once you make it in, you will need to do some special stuff to actually gain access to this. You will either need to have fusion cores or a really high charisma, but however you sort of get access to this, once you do, you need to make your way to the hydroponics department over here. And once here, you can speak to Dr. Pensky. Now you may need to do this a couple of times, but at some point she will ask you to try a fruit that she has basically been growing, and she should give it to you. It should be a fresh mud fruit. So we'll keep speaking to Pensky until she gives us that fruit. So once you get the fruit, simply open your inventory and just consume it. And once you've done that, speak to Dr. Pensky again and select the good option. And although this is rather simple and easy to do, at this point you've basically unlocked a rather small infinite loop based quest with her. Anytime you bring her some fertilizer, she will basically pay you caps. If you want to know how much, just select the how much, and she should tell you that you'll get 25 caps for any fertilizer that you bring her. So this is a rather nice and simple way to make a little bit of cap whilst gathering some fertilizer. Now something else you can do whilst still inside Vault 81 is just make your way up here, and you want to locate this NPC over here called Calvin. And he has a similar sort of thing as well. When you speak to Calvin, he will be a rather impatient with you. So select the I'll be quick option, and then select the your job option, and then select the lots of upkeep option, and then select the deal option. So right now what you've basically done is struck up a deal with Calvin where you've agreed to give him very specific type of tools, specifically any form of screwdrivers, hammers or wrenches. If you bring him these specific type of tools, so these being some examples of those tools, he will basically pay you a bit of cap. So you've now basically got a somewhat steady stream of caps within Vault 81 from 2 sources that are rather close to each other every time you bring some tools or every time you bring some fertilizer. And if you made it this far into this video, then please consider liking this video. I really enjoy reading and replying to as many comments as I can, so please do consider leaving a comment in this video telling me about any other hidden quest that you found on your own. For our third hidden quest, you will need to make your way to Bunker Hill. It is far northeast across the river from Diamond City. So once you make it to Bunker Hill, you want to sort of head to the very northwestern corner of the Bunker Hill location, and you want to speak to Joe. Now when you speak to Joe, there'll be a little bit of drama between Joe and his son right over here. And it really doesn't matter what option you go with, but you can select the should help others option to begin with, and then select the saving since is noble option. Now once that's done, you will then be able to speak to Joe again, and this time when you speak to Joe, you should have the option to select this job option. And with that, Joe will tell you a little bit about his grandfather Brent, and as a result he will ask you to go and find out what happened to him. From here, let's just simply accept the job. After accepting the job, you will basically find yourself making your way to the old colored sinkhole. It is far north, directly north of Bunker Hill, all the way up over here. Now once you make it to the sinkhole, this place might be populated by a deathclaw. You could simply just jump into the water, and you want to sort of make your way over here in the sinkhole where it's sort of pouring into a cave. Now once you're inside a cave, you will find a couple of rad roaches that are sort of walking about, and you will also encounter some feral ghouls. But more importantly, you will find the remains of Brent, specifically his hat. Take this hat, and from here you just want to head south. And again, as mentioned, as you do this, you should encounter some ghouls. Simply take out the ghouls, and once you've done that, just make your way through that exit over there, and that will basically take you back to the street level. Once you make it back to Bunker Hill, speak to Joe, and he will basically thank you for finding his grandfather and his hat. And at this point, he will simply take the hat and he will give you a bit of caps for it. So at this point, you can select the he was a hero option. Now, something that's a little bit hidden here, which I didn't trigger, is if you happen to be with the Minutemen, so if you've joined the Minutemen, instead of Joe taking the hat, he will offer you to keep the hat as a reward for being part of the Minutemen and as a reward for going and finding Joe's grandfather's lost remains. Now for our last hidden quest, which really isn't a quest, is a particular encounter you can have, a very special one rather, that is somewhat unique to the game. And to do that, you need to go to Good Neighbor. If you're unsure, Good Neighbor is directly south of Bunker Hill. So once you make it to Good Neighbor, you will actually need to go into this location, the third rail. Now once you make it down into the third rail, you'll find this NPC here called Magnolia. You will need to pass a couple of high charisma based checks with her. And if you manage to pass all three of them, then you will basically take a rather private stroll, and we'll get to that in a moment. So from here, you want to select the Song Was Lovely option, and then select the Music option. And this is now where you will need a high level of charisma. Select the Flirt option, and then select the Flirt More option, and then select the Flirt Even More option. And now select the Go On a Date option. And from here, your screen should fade to black, and you'll wake up in what seems to be a hotel room, giving the idea or assumption at least that something magical happened between the two of you. Although this certainly wasn't a hidden quest, it is a sort of secret encounter that you can find in the game that makes it unique, in the sense that she is the only NPC in the game that I think you can have this sort of encounter with and not have as a companion. In this guide, I went through some hidden quest and secret encounter in Fallout 4. If you want to learn more about some other hidden quests, then make sure to click on the video you see on the screen right now. Click on the video you see on the screen right now to find out more about some other hidden and secret quests in Fallout 4.